Let's make our coffee. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Do 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 do. Hey Jillian, how are you? How's it going? How's everyone feeling? Hey Susan, hey Avery. Hello, hello. Hey Sloth. Good morning, good morning. Yes, very, very awake. Yes. I am hoping. Oh, you have mommy hair on your face. Hold on, let me get it off. Okay, it's off now. Morning, Stephanie. Hey, Stephanie, how are you doing? Hey, Ray. Oh, you want to say hi? Oh, did you hear that? She said hi. You want to say hi? You want to say hi? Are you looking at the mermaid picture? Are you looking at the mermaid? Say hi, mermaid. Ooh, new car day. That is exciting, Susan. Although it is right before you're leaving, so you're not going to get to enjoy too much of it before you go, right? Because you're leaving in like, I don't know, no time practically, right? Practically no time. She's leaving in practically no time. She's going to be going to Poland. Yeah, no, that makes sense. That makes perfect sense. Ray said hi. Ray said hi. She's already not following the schedule. I know. You were right. Yeah. True baby fashion. Although she did just put her head down in the way that she usually does when she wants to nap. So there's a little, I know, little toesies. There is, what was I gonna say? There's like a different way that hey Liz, there's a different way that she lays on me when she's fighting a nap versus when she wants to nap, you know? Like when she wants to nap, you can tell because she kind of gets heavy. Not heavy like weight-wise, but like you can feel that she just like lets go a little. And usually when she does that, she falls asleep soon after, and she's very heavy-eyed right now. Ready? Do you need me to make one of those things? You want to lay your head down? It's CP time. CP time. Excuse me, Mom. Yeah, right. Your hand seems to be covering my view. Good morning. You got distracted by her video. I don't blame you. How could you not be distracted by her video? Hi. Everyone says hi. They think you're adorable. Oh, you know what? We are blowing through our coffee, I tell you what. We need to up our monthly order because it is not sustaining us. I'll tell you that much. It is not sustaining us. But that's okay. We'll make it work. I like a bunch of different pods. It depends on like, so some of the like seasonal flavored pods are really good. Like right now they have a pistachio one. It's really good. The strawberry one is really good. But like for regular daily stuff, we like Malesia Boost and gosh, what's the pink one called? I don't have a box right now because we're out. But it's like Vita something because it's got vitamin B in it. I get it for that reason. It's pink. If you're on the site, it starts with a V, and I can't think of the name right now. I'm so sorry about that. We also love Bianco Doppio. That's a big one in our house. Bianco Doppio, Malesio Boost. What is the V one? Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I literally can't remember. But yeah, those are our go-tos, generally speaking. And then we'll try a season one. Bianco Doppio is great. I agree. Are you licking on your shirt? May I ask why? May I ask why? May I ask why? Bless you. Bless you, my angel. We just got an espresso and I want the pistachio. I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah, it's like it's this color pink, the container or the pod. We also I'm trying to think of that's kind of where we live, you know? Like I'll try other ones when we come out, but the truth is that's what we get, those ones. Yeah. Like every once in a while I'll get little extra shots, like this is Diabolito, and I'll get it if I'm think I'm gonna be particularly tired one day and I want to have a shot. But generally speaking, you know, Malesio Boost is what my husband lives on for sure. For sure. For sure. Yeah. Why don't you lay your head down? Do a little sing-song. Yeah, you should definitely experiment. That's what I did early on. James liked that one too. Yeah. I'll try new ones when they come out. I don't always like them, but I'll always give one a try. You know, I figure what's the harm in that, right? But yeah. Sometimes I'll try one and I'm like, no, thank you. Like a lot of people love that vanilla cookie one or whatever, and there's another one and I'm like, oof, no, thank Vivita. Thank you, Roxy. That's exactly right. It is Vivita. It is Vivita. Half calf and Dolce, the ones who love. That is totally fair. When I was pregnant, I didn't drink as much caffeine, not by far, and my sister actually completely gave it up when she was pregnant with Ethan and hasn't gone back to it, if you can believe that. She drinks tea and stuff. My internet said it's too hot and has given up on working. Oh, cool. So no work today. But the Dolce, what are they called? The little espresso pods or whatever. Yeah, the white chocolate strawberry is good. It really is actually quite good. I didn't think it was gonna be good, but I do like it. I do like it quite a bit. So let's see what we can do here. We're going to, she allows other forms of caffeine, just not coffee. Fair. That's, it is what it is. Okay, I am going to try, she's not gonna let me sit down. I can feel it because she's doing the kick out of my seat thing, but I'm gonna try, you know what? If I was smart, I would just, if we're gonna stand, go over here where the coffee can be at my level. You know what I'm saying? So then we're gonna go get the tripod and we're gonna bring it over to the counter where the coffee can be at my level. And I don't have to lean down to get it because she doesn't want me to lean down. You know what I'm saying? So that, we're fixing the tripod here. Just bear with me, friends. We're fixing the tripod. Because bending down while you're holding a squiggle is squiggly. Oh, look at that. Okay, now I gotta go get the book. Look at us. We did the thing. Oops. So smart. So smart. Okay, so on Saturday, morning, Nikki. We really tried to read. She's the cutest squiggle that ever squiggled. I completely agree. We tried to read on Saturday and it didn't work. And I was like, oh, we'll finish the chapter later. But I really think because it was so disjointed, we should just go back to the start of the chapter because like it was not, like we read barely 3 pages of the chapter and it was like not even 3 pages in a row, you know what I mean? And it all, I don't even remember barely what happened in it. So I'm gonna start the chapter over. That's why I didn't upload it. You guys might have noticed I didn't upload Saturday's book club, and the reason was it wasn't worth it, you know what I mean? We didn't even get through enough. She is trying to read it. She loves to read. You love to read? Bless you. Do you wanna lay your head down? See if I sway enough, she'll fall asleep. Yeah, it was a fun live. She had a lot to say to us, but there was no reading involved. Yeah, it was not worth it. Like, Jen, you missed it, but we did sing some of the, we sang some of it because she wouldn't let me do anything but sing. So I don't remember who said it. I think it might have been Roxy was like, you should sing the book. And so I did. It was very funny, but not at all logical. Yeah, there was no recap to have because we didn't even, like, it was not worth it. So let's just start the chapter over, chapter 25, and we'll read it like a normal person now because she seems calm now that I'm standing and swaying. She seems okay, and I think she's gonna let us read as long as I sway. So if you don't like swaying or it makes you ill for any reason because of motion sickness, just look away and listen, but I do have to keep doing this until she falls asleep. She's working on it. She's really trying. You can see it. Okay. Chapter 25. Sejanus startled in what Coriolanus couldn't help but think was a guilty manner. Getting rapidly to his feet, he brushed off the dust from his uniform, and Billy Tope, on the other hand, rose slowly, almost lazily, to confront them. Well, look who decided to talk to me, he said, grinning uneasily at Lucy Gray. Was this the first time that they had spoken since the Hunger Games? Sejanus, Maud Ivory's all bent out of shape about you bailing on those nuts, she said. Yeah, I have been shirking my duties. Sejanus held out his hand to Billy Tope, who didn't hesitate to give it a shake. It was nice meeting you. Sure, yeah, you too. You can find me around the Hob some days if you want to talk some more. Billy Tope replied to him. Yeah, I'll keep that in mind, Sejanus said, making for the house. Lucy Gray released Coriolanus' hand and squared her shoulders with Billy Tope's. Go away, Billy Tope, and don't come back. Or what, Lucy Gray? You'll sick your peacekeepers on me? He laughed. If need be, I will. Billy Tope glanced over at Coriolanus. Seemed like a pretty tame pair. You don't get it. There's no walking this back, said Lucy Gray, and Billy Tope turned angry. You know I didn't try to kill you. You know you're still running with the girl that did try, said Lucy Gray. Here you made yourself right at home at the mayor's. Oh my gosh. Okay, see, this is why we needed to reread this. When we read this part on Saturday, I was so distracted by her, like, whatever she was doing and all that, that I didn't realize what they were saying. Because he's running around with the mayor's daughter, she's saying that the mayor's daughter tried to kill her by sending her to the Hunger Games. That's what she's saying, and I didn't put that together because I was distracted. See, this is why you can't read distracted. There you go. Hey, Brittany. Yeah, and who sent me over there in the first place, I wonder? Makes me sick how you're playing the kids. Poor Lucy Gray, poor little lamb, he sneered. They're not stupid. They want you gone too, she spat. Ooh, okay, you're gonna make me knock over the burp cloth. Hey, Naisa. Distracted reading is not good for comprehension. It's not. Naisa, we decided to go back to start because Saturday was such a kerfuffle. So we're barely just a paragraph or two into the reread of those 3 pages. They're not stupid. They want you gone too, she spat out. Billy Tope's hand whipped around and grabbed her wrist and pulled her up against him. Where exactly am I supposed to go?
And before Coriolanus could intervene, Lucy Gray sank her teeth into Billy Top's hand, causing him to yelp and release her. He glared at Coriolanus, who'd stepped up protectively beside her. Doesn't look like you're so lonely yourself. This your fancy man from the capital chased all this way after you? He's got a few surprises waiting for him. It's colder standing over here than it is sitting over there. Isn't that weird? I think it's because the vent is right here. I had to turn it down. She fell asleep, which is a win. So, good stuff. I already know about you. Coriolanus didn't really know about him, but it made him feel less disadvantaged to say so. Billy Top gave a disbelieving laugh. Me? I'm the rosebud in the dung heap. Why don't you go like she asked? Said Coriolanus coldly. Fine. You'll learn soon enough. And he strode off into the hot morning. Lucy Gray watched him go, rubbing the wrist that he grabbed. If you want to run, now's the time. I don't want to run, said Coriolanus, although the exchange had been unsettling. He's a liar and a louse. Sure, I will flirt with anybody, but that's part of my job. What he's implying is just simply isn't true. Lucy Gray looked over at the window. And what if it was true? What if it was that, or I had to let Maud Ivory starve? Neither of us would have let that happen, no matter what it took. Only he's got a different set of rules for him than he does for me. Like always, what makes him a victim makes me trash. This brought back disturbing memories of Coriolanus' conversation with Tigress, and he changed the subject quickly. He's seeing the mayor's daughter now? Yeah, that's how it is. I sent him over there to pick up some cash teaching piano lessons, and next thing I know, her daddy's calling out my name in the reaping, said Lucy Gray. Not sure what she told him. He'd go nuts if he knew she was running around with Billy Top. Well, I survived the capital, but not to come back for more of the same. Something in her manner, the raw distress, convinced Coriolanus, and he touched her arm. Make a new life, then. She intertwined her fingers with his. A new life? With you? But a cloud hung over her. Coriolanus just gave her a nudge. Hey, don't we have a goat to milk? Her face relaxed. Yeah, we do. And she led him back into the house, only to find Maud Ivory had taken Sejanus out to teach him to milk Seamus. He couldn't say no. He's in the doghouse for talking to the enemy, said Barb Azur. And she took a pan of chilled milk from the old refrigerator and set it on the table to examine it. From the shelf, Clerk Carmine retrieved a glass jar with some sort of contraption on the top. It was a crank attached to the lid, and it appeared to move a small paddle within the jar. What are you doing there? Asked Coriolanus. A fool's errand, Barbazor laughed. We're trying to get enough cream so we can make butter. Only goat's milk doesn't separate like cow's milk. Maybe if we just give it another day, Clerk Carmine asked. Yeah, maybe. Barbazor returned the pan to the refrigerator. See, we promised Maud Ivory that we'd try. She's crazy for butter. Tam Amber fashioned that churn for her birthday. I guess we'll see, said Lucy Gray. Coriolanus fiddled with the crank. So you just, well, theoretically, when we get enough cream, we turn the handle and the paddles churn it into butter, Lucy Gray explained. Well, anyway, that's what someone told us. Seems like a lot of work. Coriolanus thought of the beautiful, uniform pats of butter that he helped himself to from the buffet on the reaping day, never giving a moment's thought to where they came from. Well, yeah, it is, but it'll be worth it if it works. Maud Ivory doesn't sleep well since they took me away. Seems fine during the day, and then she wakes up screaming at night, confided Lucy Gray, trying to get some happy back into her head, you know. Barbazor strained the fresh milk and Sejanus and Maud Ivory brought in and poured it into the mugs, while Lucy Gray portioned out the bread. Coriolanus had never had goat's milk before, but Sejanus smacked his lips, saying that it reminded him of his childhood in District 2. Did I ever go to District 2? Maud Ivory asked. No, baby. That's out west. The Covey, we stay more east, Barbazor told her. Sometimes we went north, said Tam Amber, and Coriolanus realized this was the first time he'd ever heard Tam Amber speak. To, what district? Asked Coriolanus. No district, really, said Barbazor. Up where the capital doesn't care much about. Coriolanus felt embarrassed for them. No such place existed, at least not anymore. The capital controlled the whole known world. And for a moment, he imagined a group of people in wild animal furs scraping out an existence in a cave somewhere. He supposed a thing could happen, but that life would be a big step down even for people from the districts. It would barely be human. Probably rounded up like we were, said Clerk Carmine, and Barb Ivory gave a sad smile. Barb Ivory? Is that a typo? It's Barb Azur and Maud Ivory. I think I found a typo. Look, Barb Ivory. Huh. Anyway, I don't know, one of them, either Barb or Maud, gave a sad smile. What, Jen, what? Is it a different character? Did I mess up? Or is that really a typo, do you think? Huh. Weird, right? It's a little weird. I think it is a typo. I gotta lift you guys up a little. I can't look down. Oh, that's so much better. Oh, wow. It's way better. Anyway, one of them, it's page 395 if we want to remember it for later. Barb Azur, I assume, gave a sad smile. Doubt we'll ever know. Is there any more? I'm still hungry, Maud Ivory complained, but the bread was gone. Oh, so it was Barb who said it. It's got a post on Reddit. Oh, it is it. Oh, so it is a typo. That's funny. Eat a handful of your nuts, Barb Azur said. They'll feed us at the wedding. To Coriolanus' dismay, it turned out that the Covey had a job that afternoon playing for a wedding in town. He had hoped to get Lucy Gray off and alone again in more depth conversation about Billy Top and her history with him and exactly why he might be drawing a map of the base in the dirt. But it would all have to wait since the Covey began to prepare for their gig as soon as the dishes were washed. Sorry to run off so soon, but this is how we earn our bread. Lucy Gray saw Coriolanus and Sejanus to the door. The butcher's daughter's getting hitched, and we need to make a good impression. People with money to hire us are going to be there. You could wait and walk us over, but I guess that might start people gossiping. He finished for her, glad she'd been the first to suggest it. Yeah, probably get best if we just keep this between us. When can I see you again? Anytime you like, she said. I have a feeling your schedule's a little more demanding than mine. Do you play at the Hob next Saturday? He asked. Well, if they let us, after last night's trouble. They agreed that he would come as early as he could to share a few precious moments with her before the show. There's a shed that we use just behind the Hob. You can meet us there, and if there's no show, you can just come to my house. Coriolanus waited until he and Sejanus reached the deserted back streets near the base before he broached the subject of Billy Top. So, what did you two have to talk about? Nothing really, said Sejanus uncomfortably. Just some local gossip. And that required a map of the base? Asked Coriolanus, and Sejanus pulled up short. You never miss a beat, do you? I remember that from school, watching you watch other people pretending you weren't and choosing the moments you weighed in so carefully. Well, I'm weighing in now, Sejanus. Why were you in deep discussion with him over a map of the base? What is he, like, a rebel sympathizer? Sejanus averted his gaze, so Coriolanus just continued. What possible interest can he have in a capital base? Sejanus stared at the ground for a minute and then said, It's that girl from the hang-in, the one they arrested the other day, Lil. She's in lockup there. And the rebels want to rescue her? Pressed Coriolanus. No, they just want to communicate with her and make sure she's all right, explained Sejanus. Coriolanus tried to keep his temper in check. And you said you would help? No, I made no promises, but if I can, if I'm near the guardhouse, perhaps I can find something else. Her family's frantic, said Sejanus. Oh, wonderful. Fantastic. So now you're a rebel informant? Coriolanus took off down the road. I thought you were letting that whole rebel thing go. If anyone was here Saturday, we're past the point we're until on Saturday by now. Sejanus followed on his heels. I can't, all right? It's a part of who I am, and you're the one who said that I could help people in the districts if I agreed to leave the arena. I believe I said that you could fight for the tributes, meaning that you might be able to, I don't know, procure more humane conditions for them, Coriolanus corrected him. Humane conditions? Sejanus burst out. They're being forced to murder each other, and the tributes are from the districts too, so I don't really see a distinction there. It's a tiny thing, Corio. I'm just checking up on this girl. Clearly it isn't, said Coriolanus, not to Billy Toppin anyway. Or why would he wipe the map away so fast? Because he knows what he's asking. He knows he's making you a collaborator. And do you know what happens to collaborators? I just thought, began Sejanus. No, Sejanus, you're not thinking at all, steamed Coriolanus. And worse, you're falling in with people who barely seem capable of thought. Billy Top? What's his stake in this anyway? Money? Because to hear Lucy Gray talk, the Covey aren't rebels or capital. They're pretty much just set on hanging to their own identity, whatever that might be. I don't know. He just said, he was asking for a friend, stammered Sejanus. A friend? Coriolanus realized that he was shouting and dropped his voice to a hush. A friend of old Arlo who set the explosion in the mines? There was a piece of brilliant plotting there. What possible result could he have been hoping for? They have no resources. They have nothing at all that would let them re-engage in a war. And in the meantime, they're biting the hand that feeds them, because how will they eat here in 12 without those mines? They're not exactly bubbling over with options. What sort of strategy was that? Well, it's a desperate one, but look around. Sejanus grabbed his arm, forcing him to stop. How long can you expect them to go on like this? Coriolanus felt a surge of hatred, and he had to remember the war, the devastation that the rebels had brought onto his own life. He yanked his arm free. They lost the war. A war they started. They took that risk, and this is the price that they pay. Sejanus looked about as if unsure about which direction to go, and then slumped down on a broken wall along the road. Coriolanus had an unpleasant feeling that he was somehow taking old Strabo Plinth's role in endless discussion over where Sejanus's loyalties would lay. He had not signed up for this. On the other hand, if Sejanus went rogue over here, there was no telling where that would end. Coriolanus sat down beside him. Look, I think things will improve, really, but not like this. As it gets better overall, it will get better here, but not if they keep blowing up the mines, and that all that does is add to the body count. Sejanus nodded, and they sat there for as a few raggedy children went by, kicking an old tin can down the road. Do you think I've committed treason? Not quite yet, said Coriolanus with a half smile, and Sejanus tugged at some weeds growing out of the wall. Dr. Gall does. My father went to see her before he went to Dean Highbottom and the board. Everyone knows she's really the one in charge, and he went to ask if I might be given a chance if you were signed up for the Peacekeepers. I thought that would be automatic, said Coriolanus. If you were expelled, like me? Yeah, that was my father's hope, but she said, don't conflate the boy's actions. A piece of faulty strategy is not commiserate with the treasonous act of rebel support. Bitterness crept into his voice. And so a check appeared for a new lab for her mutts. It must have been the priciest ticket to District 12 in history. Coriolanus gave a low whistle. A new gymnasium and a lab? Say what you will, but I've done more for capital reconstruction than the president himself, Sejanus said, joking half-heartedly. You're right, Coriolanus. I've been stupid. Again. I'll be more careful in the future, whatever that holds. Probably some fried bologna, Coriolanus said. All right, well then lead on, said Sejanus, and they resumed their trek back to the base. Their bunkmates were just rolling out of bed when they returned. Sejanus took Beanpole out to work on his drills, and Smiley and Bug went over to see what was happening in the rec room. Coriolanus planned to use the hours until dinner studying for the capital officer test, but his conversation with Sejanus had planted an idea in his brain. It grew rapidly until it wiped out everything else. Dr. Gall had defended him. Well, okay, not defended him, but made sure that Strabo Plinth understood that Coriolanus was an entire different class than his delinquent son. Coriolanus's crimes had only been a piece of faulty strategy, which didn't sound like much of a crime at all. Perhaps she hadn't written him off entirely. She seemed to take special pains with his education during the games. She singled him out. Would it be worth writing to her now, just to, well, he didn't even know what he hoped to achieve, but he knew up the road when he might be an officer of some sort of consequence, if their path might not cross again. Well, it couldn't hurt to write to her now. He'd already been stripped of everything of value. The worst she could do was ignore him. Coriolanus chewed on his pen as he tried to compose his thoughts. Should he start with an apology? Why? She would know right away he wasn't sorry for trying to win, only for being caught. Better to bypass the apology entirely. He could tell her of his life here on the base, but no, that seemed too mundane. Their conversations had been, if nothing, elevated, an ongoing lesson exclusively for his benefit. And then it struck him. The thing to do was to continue the lesson. Where had they left off? His one-pager on chaos control and, wait, what was the third one? He had always had trouble remembering, oh yeah, contract. The one it took the might of the capital to enforce, and so he began like this. Dear Dr. Gall, so much has occurred since our last conversation, but every day I am informed by it. District 12 provides an excellent stage upon which to watch the battle between chaos and control play out, and as a peacekeeper, I have a front row seat. He went on to discuss many things he'd been privy to since his arrival, the palpable tension between the citizens and capital forces, how it threatened to spill over into violence at the hanging, and how it had overflowed into a brawl at the Hob. The letter continues. It reminded me of my stint in the arena. It's one thing to speak of humans' essential nature theoretically, and another to consider it when a fist is smashing into your mouth. Only this time I felt more prepared. I'm not convinced that we're all inherently violent, as you say, but it takes very little to bring out the beast and bring them to the surface, at least under the cover of darkness. I wonder how many of those miners would have thrown a punch if the capital could have seen their faces. In the midday sun of the hanging, they grumbled, but they didn't dare to fight. Well, it's something to think over while my lip heals. Okay, I want to stop for a second. Hold on. This is really interesting, juxtaposed against something that's happening in our real life right now. I'm not going to use the raids that have been happening here in Los Angeles. The officers, quote unquote, are masked. So it's not the rebels, it's the other side. Although, who's to say, on that. They're masked because even if they're officials or officers, they're not brave enough to show their face. Interesting, right? I wonder how many of those miners would have thrown a punch if the capital could have seen their faces. And again, I know it's the other side, but are you brave enough if you have to show your face? It's very interesting. Very interesting. And this book was written before January 6th, where, by the way, they did show their faces despite it being the most idiotic choice of their lives. Bonker town there. But she didn't know that they were only going to get in trouble because they did show their faces, which is basically what happened. Like, a lot of those people who were there lost their jobs and such, because their faces made it on the news, Like, not the ones who actually, committed okay, let me back up. The whole thing is a crime. Insurrection is a crime. But some of them did worse things than others. I think we can all agree on that. Like, someone who physically hurts someone or physically desecrates property or anything like that is worse than someone who just shows up, right? To whatever end you want to think about that. But they all had not all, most had some consequence because they showed their face, right? It's interesting. It's an interesting thing going on there. He added that he did not expect she would reply, but he wished her well. 2 pages, short and sweet, not overly demanding for attention, not asking for anything, not apologizing, and he folded the letter crisply and sealed it in an envelope and addressed it to her at the Citadel. To avoid questions, especially from Sejanus, he went over directly and dropped it in the mail. There goes nothing, he thought. And at dinner, the fried bologna came with applesauce and greasy chunks of potatoes, and he ate every bit on his heaping tray with relish. After supper, Sejanus helped him study for the test, being non-committal as to his own interest in it. They only offer it 3 times a year, and one's this Wednesday afternoon, said Coriolanus. We should both take it, even if it's only for practice. Nah, I don't have to handle for this military stuff yet. I think you'll get it, though, Sejanus replied. Even if you're a little shaky, you'll ace the rest of it, and your overall score might be high enough to pass. So go ahead and take it before you forget all the math. He had a point. Already some of Sejanus's geometry did seem a bit rusty. If you were an officer, perhaps they'd let you train to be a doctor. You were awfully good in science, said Coriolanus, trying to feel out where Sejanus's head might be after their conversation. He definitely needed something new to focus on. And then you could, I don't know, like you said, help people. That is true, Sejanus thought it over. I don't know, maybe I'll talk to the doctors over at the clinic and find out how they got there. The following morning, after a night of strange dreams that vacillated between him kissing Lucy Gray and feeding Dr. Gall's snakelets, Coriolanus added his name to the list of people to take the test. The officer in charge told him that he would be officially excused from training that day, and that in and of itself seemed incentive enough to sign up, for the week promised to be broiling. It was more than that, really. The heat, yes, but also the boredom of his day-to-day life had begun to wear on him. If he could become an officer, Coriolanus would be given more challenging tasks. The day brought on 2 altercations to the regular schedule. The first thing that they would begin serving on guard duty caused little excitement, as the job was widely known for its tedium. Still, Coriolanus reasoned that he'd rather be manning the desk at the front of the barracks than scrubbing pans. Perhaps he could sneak in a bit of reading or writing. The second change unnerved him. When they reported for marksmanship, they were informed that Coriolanus' suggestion to shoot the birds around the gallows might have been approved. Before, however, the Citadel wanted them to trap 100 or so jabberjays and mockingjays and return them to the lab unharmed for study. His squad had been tapped to help position the cages in the trees that afternoon, which meant that he'd be working with scientists from Dr. Gall's lab. A team had arrived by hovercraft that morning. He'd only ever seen a handful of people at the Citadel, but the idea of encountering anyone from the lab where no doubt everyone knew the details of his trickery with the snakes and subsequent disgrace did set him on edge. And then a terrible thought hit him. Surely Dr. Gall wouldn't be overseeing the bird roundup herself. Sending her a letter across the expanse of Panem had seemed almost like a lark, but it made him tremble to think of meeting her face to face for the first time since his banishment. As Coriolanus bounced along in the back of the truck, unarmed, and perhaps soon to be unmasked, his optimism from the weekend vanished. The other recruits, happy to be on what they seemed to view as a field trip, chattered along as he sank into silence. Sejanus, however, understood his trepidation. Dr. Gall won't be here, you know, he whispered. This is strictly lackey work if we're involved. Coriolanus nodded, but he wasn't convinced. When the truck pulled up under the hanging tree, he hid in the back of the squad while he surveyed 4 capital scientists, all of whom were ridiculously dressed in their white lab coats as if they might be about to discover the secret to immortality instead of trapping a bunch of insipid birds in 100-degree heat. He examined each face, but none looked even remotely familiar, and then he relaxed a bit. The cavernous lab had contained hundreds of scientists, and these were bird, not reptile specialists. They greeted the soldiers good-naturedly, directing everyone to grab one of the wire mesh traps, which looked like cages, while they explained the setup. The recruits obliged, collected their traps, and took seats at the edge of the woods near the gallows. Sejanus gave him a thumbs up at Dr. Gall's absence, and he was about to return when he noticed a figure in the clearing deeper into the woods. A woman in a lab coat stood motionless, her back to them, head tipped sideways as she listened to the cacophony of birdsong. The other scientists waited respectfully until she finished and made her way back through the trees. As she pushed a branch aside, Coriolanus got a clear look at her face, which might have been forgettable if not for the large pink glasses perched on her nose, and he recognized her at once. She was the one who chewed him out for upsetting the birds when he'd been flailing around, trying to escape the lab after watching Clemencia collapse into a rainbow of pus. Ew. The question was, would this woman remember him? He slouched down even farther behind Smiley's back and developed a fascination for a bird trap. The rosy bespectacled woman who one of the scientists affectionately introduced as our own Dr. K, greeted them in a friendly manner, explaining their mission, to to collect 50 of the jabberjays and mockingjays and laid out the plan for achieving it. They were to help seed the forest with traps, which would be baited with food, water, and decoy birds to draw in the prey. The traps would be open for 2 days so that the birds could freely come and go, and on Wednesday they would return, refresh the bait, and set the traps to capture the birds. Eager to please, the recruits divided into 5 groups of 4, each of which followed one of the scientists into a different part of the woods. Coriolanus swerved into a clump where the man who'd introduced Dr. K, and concealed himself in the foliage as and concealed himself in the foliage as soon as possible. In addition to the traps, they carried backpacks containing various types of bait. They hiked 100 yards until they reached a red mark on one of the trunks indicating ground zero. Under the scientist's direction, they spread out concentrically from the spot, working in teams of 2 to bait the traps and position them high in the trees. Coriolanus found himself paired with Bug, who turned out to be a first-class climber, having been raised in District 11, where the children tended to help in the orchards. They spent a sweaty but productive couple of hours with Coriolanus baiting and Bug hauling the traps up into the branches. When they reconvened, Coriolanus ducked out and sat on the truck bed, examining his multiple bug bites, and then put some distance between him and Dr. K. She had paid him no special attention at all. Don't be paranoid, he thought. She doesn't remember you. Tuesday was back to business as usual, although Coriolanus reviewed for the test over meals, and in the brief time before lights out, he was itching to get back to Lucy Gray, and she kept drifting into his thoughts, but he did as best as he could to push her out, promising himself that he could revel in daydreams when the test was over. On Wednesday, he muscled his way through the morning workout and sat alone during lunch with the manual for his final exam cram, and then went over to the classroom in which they did their tactical lessons. 2 other peacekeepers had signed up, one in his late 20s who claimed to have taken the test 5 times already, and another one who must have been pushing 50, which seemed ancient for a life change. Test-taking ranked among Coriolanus's greatest talents. He felt the familiar rush of excitement as he opened the cover of his booklet. He loved the challenge. His obsessive nature meant an almost instant absorption into the mental obstacle course. 3 hours later, sweat-soaked, exhausted, and happy, he handed his booklet in and went to the mess hall for ice. He sat in a strip of shade in his barracks. He sat in a strip of shade that his barracks provided, rubbing the cubes over his body and reviewing the questions in his head. The ache of losing his university career returned briefly, and he pushed it away with the thoughts of becoming a legendary military leader like his father. Maybe this had been his destiny all along. The rest of his squad was still out with the Citadel scientists climbing trees and activating the traps, so he wandered over to collect the mail for his room. 2 giant boxes from Ma Plinth greeted him, promising another wild night at the Hob, and he carried them back but decided to wait to open them until the others returned. Ma had also sent him a separate letter, thanking him for all he had done for Sejanus and asking him to continue to keep an eye on her boy. Coriolanus put down the letter and sighed at the thought of being Sejanus's keeper. Honestly, same. Escaping the capital may have been temporary relief to his torment, but he had already worked himself into a state here about the rebels. Conspiring with Billy Top, agonizing over the girl in the guardhouse, how long would it be before he pulled another stunt like sneaking into the arena? And then, once again, people would look at Coriolanus to get him out of the mess. The thing was, he didn't believe that Sejanus would ever really change. Perhaps he was incapable of it, but more to the point, he didn't want to change. He already had rejected what the peacekeeping life offered, pretending that he couldn't shoot, refusing to take the officer candidate test, and making it clear that he had no desire to excel on behalf of the capital. District 2 would always be Sejanus's home. District people would always be his family. District rebels would always have a just cause on their side, and it would be Sejanus's moral duty to help them. Coriolanus felt a new sense of thrill rising up inside him. He'd tried to shrug off Sejanus's misguided behavior in the capital, but here it was different. Here he was viewed as an adult, and the consequences of his actions could be life or death. If he helped the rebels, he could find himself in front. If he helped the rebels, he could find himself in front of a firing squad. What was going on in Sejanus's head, anyway? On impulse, Coriolanus opened Sejanus's locker and removed his box and slid the contents onto the floor carefully. They included a stack of mementos, a pack of gum, and 3 medicine bottles prescribed by a capital doctor. 2 appeared to be sleeping capsules, and the 3rd was a bottle of morphling with a dropper built into the lid, much like the one that he had seen Dean Highbottom use on occasion. He knew that Sejanus had been medicated during his breakdown. Ma told him as much, but why had he brought that here? Had Ma slipped them in as a precaution? He flipped through the rest of the contents, a scrap of fabric, stationery, pens, and a small chunk of marble crudely carved into something that might be a heart, and then a pile of photos, the Plinth's annual portraits that had been taken, and he could map Sejanus's growth from infant to this past New Year's. All the pictures were family, except for an old photo of a group of school children. Coriolanus took it to be one of their classes, but no one there looked familiar to him, and a lot of the kids were dressed in rather ill-fitting, shabby clothes. And then he spotted Sejanus in a neat suit, smiling pensively from the 2nd row. Behind him towered a boy that he took to be much older. On closer inspection, though, the pieces fell together. It was Marcus. In a school photo from Sejanus's last year in District 2, there was no record of his capital classmates here, not at all, and not even Coriolanus. For some reason, this seemed the greatest confirmation of where Sejanus's loyalties lay. At the bottom of the pile, he found a thick silver frame holding, of all things, Sejanus's diploma. It had been removed from its fine leather folder and transferred into the frame as if for display, but why? Sejanus wouldn't in a million years hang this on the wall, even if he had a wall to hang it on. Coriolanus fingered the frame, tracing the tarnished metal, and he flipped it over, and on the back panel seemed slightly askew. A tiny corner of pale green paper peeked out from the inside. That's not just paper, he thought grimly, and he slid the fasteners to free the panel. As it popped off, a stack of freshly minted bills fell to the floor. Money, and quite a lot of it. Why would Sejanus have so much cash to bring to his new life as a peacekeeper? Would Ma have insisted? No, not Ma. She seemed to feel that money was the root of their misery. Strabo, then? Thinking that whatever his son encountered, money would shield him from the harm? Possibly, but Strabo usually handled the payoffs himself. Was it something that Sejanus had done on his own without his parents' knowledge? This was more worrisome to think of. Was this a lifetime of allowances squirreled away for a rainy day? Withdrawn from the bank accounts the day before his departure and hidden inside the picture frame? Sejanus always complained about his father's habit about buying away his troubles, but had it been ingrained in him from birth? The Plinth method of solving problems passed down from father to son. It was distasteful, but it was efficient. Coriolanus scooped up the cash and tapped it into a neat stack and then flipped through the bills. There were hundreds, thousands of dollars here. But what use would this be in District 12, where there was nothing to buy? Nothing, anyway, that a peacekeeper's salary couldn't cover. Most of the recruits were sending half of their paychecks home as it was, since the capital provided almost everything that they needed short of stationery and a night at the Hob. He supposed that the Hob did have a black market, but he hadn't seen much tempt to a peacekeeper once booze had been bought. They didn't need dead rabbits or shoelaces or homemade soap, and even if they did, they could easily afford it. Of course, there were other things that you could buy, like information, or access, and silence. There were bribes, and there was power. Coriolanus heard the voices of his returning squad, and he swiftly concealed the cash into the silver frame, being careful to leave one corner of green visible. He packed the box and stored it in Sejanus's locker, and by the time his bunkmates rolled in, he was standing over Ma Plinth's box with his arms spread wide, wearing a big grin, and he asked, "All right, who's free on Saturday?" And as Smiley, Beanpole, and Bug tore open the boxes and unpacked the treasures within, Sejanus sat on the bed and watched with amusement. Coriolanus leaned on the bunk above him. "Thank goodness for your ma, otherwise we'd all be flat broke, huh?" "Yep, not a penny between us," Sejanus agreed. The one thing Coriolanus never questioned was Sejanus's honesty. If anything, he'd have welcomed a little less of it. But this was a bold-faced lie, delivered as naturally as the truth, which meant now anything he said was suspect. Dun, dun, dun. So what do we think Sejanus is going to be up to? I don't know. Literally could be anything. I mean, if I were Coriolanus and I found this money, I would assume that he had the money there because he was going to run away and he needed the money to like get him through. That's where my brain would have went, but Sejanus didn't even mention that. He's thinking of everything but running away. I guess though, now that I think of it, that's more of like a Katniss thing because Sejanus is really like gung-ho about saving people, so I guess running away isn't really his jam. That's my stomach saying, can you eat breakfast already, lady? All right, well, she slept through the whole chapter, which is great. Look at this, still asleep. Yeah, we love to see it. She's been asleep for almost an hour now. If I just keep swaying for the next hour, maybe she'll sleep for the next hour too. Just kidding, I need to go eat breakfast. So anyway, we, Paige, great question, Naisa. We are on page, we just finished page 409. So we'll start with 410 tomorrow. And we have about 4 chapters left. I thought we were going to finish on Wednesday, but then of course Saturday turned out to be a bust, so we'll probably finish on Thursday, unless we can squeeze in 2 tomorrow, which wouldn't be terrible. Thank you. A lot of orders are going to the post office today, like 2 big boxes full, not the like regular post office bin size, because I don't have any of those right now. They wouldn't give us some last week, which was super weird. But I have like big boxes that my shipping supplies come in, and we've been using those to ferry stuff to the post office. And I have 2 big boxes full of roll for slimes that are going, grab bags that are going, etc., etc. What am I gonna have for breakfast? I don't know. Probably some. I have this nut granola that's sugar free, and then like some fruit probably. So anyway, that is all heading out. Nikki, you're amongst them, of course. And what? That's pretty much it. No Slime Live tonight because of course I have class from 3 to 6. So that kind of pushes that out of the possibility. But I don't know if I think I told you guys, the class is an intensive. So it's like until mid-July, and then we'll go back to having Monday and Tuesday lives again. It's not forever. It's a short stint. It's June and half of July that we have the class. So I think anyway, I was just about to say enjoy class. Yeah. One of my like things to do this next month for myself, but also I've been having a lot of questions, and I think it would be good for everybody. Like that's true. Yes, that's true, Brittany. It would be good for everyone who has questions, but also good for me as practice to go through like all the different wraps and carriers I have and like show how they're used. I think that would be really good for me as practice for class, but also just to like go through all the ones that I have or have been given and like see which ones I really love versus which ones I can pass on, and so on and so forth. You are so sleepy. So anyway, that is something that I'm going to do, and it'll be useful for people like Lauren and Stephanie who are pregnant. Correct, unless I do. So speaking of restock stuff, so the next restock will be, again, Patreon only because I'm just only making those amounts right now, but it's not a full restock, but sometime in the next month I am going to make the dragon eggs for Fourth Wing. So those will be available to Patreon people. And then I am also making some eras stuff and a couple other things. So like it might not be like a traditional style restock where there's only one theme, but like I have some slimes that I really want to make. So even while I'm in class, I might just like release those. Yeah, dragon eggs from Fourth Wing. So I have the different colored dragon eggs. We got gold dragon eggs, black dragon eggs, and iridescent white dragon eggs to represent the different types of dragons. So those should be good. And I'll have those made sometime. I think like I have a couple ideas. I'm not going to say until I get it like organized, but I think I kind of know what I want to go in them. But see, the fact that I'm taking this class is really good for you guys, right? Because I wasn't able to do a restock. I just put my oven dinner for my mom's working. It's crazy. I know, isn't that funny? I know. It's like, it's dinner for you and breakfast for me. Being halfway around the world to do that to you, right? But yeah, will they be available for Patreon members as well? It depends, Samantha. So it 100% depends on how many people purchase it from the other one. Have you seen the lady who sells the blind date with a book? Yes. Very cool. I'm friends with one of those girls. Her name is Lindsay. She does Lily's Paper Library, that one, she's great, really lovely. We chat a lot. She actually, at the holidays, she includes my books and my merch in her holiday boxes, which is fun. Where can I buy some of your slime? Right now, my slime is only available to Patreon members because I am taking a class intensive, which has limited my time. Yeah, definitely, Christy. And tell her I sent you. She'll probably give you some extra stuff. Christy, there's a couple things you can do. If you purchase from Lindsay, first of all, tell her I sent you, and she knows who I am, and she'll like hook you up with extras. But then also you can tell her the types of books you like, and she will, like, you can say like, I like the kinds of books that Sasha reads in book club, and she knows what we read here in book club because she follows along with what we're doing, so she can, like, you know, make sure you get something in the same vein, you know, which is fun. She will do that for anybody, which is great, I think. Yeah, that's kind of the whole kit and caboodle. So I'll see you guys tomorrow morning, and more, like I said, tons of, if I had to make a guess of how many packages are going in the mail today, it's probably in the range of 100. So like a lot, you know, it's a good amount, considering that Roll for Slime was just Friday and Saturday. Thank you, Samantha. And then, did you see the Fimos? I don't know what you mean. Did I see what Fimos, Roxy? Did you mail something? Or are you talking about a picture somewhere? You're gonna go bake a cake again? Send pictures. I love looking at cake. Forky Fimos? Oh my God, I didn't know. That's so cute. I didn't know there were Forky Fimos, but I'll definitely buy them. 9 days until you're on a plane. That's exciting. Oh, so fun. All right, I'll see you guys later. I'm gonna try to post the, or try to make the, you made Fimos? That's amazing, Roxy. Oh my God, so lucky. I'm gonna try to post the fluffy making test today. That's so exciting, Roxy. I'll totally buy them off you. All right, bye.